Let's talk about finding some tranquility in this crazy, chaotic world we live in. We're going to dive into the wisdom of an ancient Roman emperor and build a toolkit for what you might call an unshakable mind, using the personal journal of Marcus Aurelius himself. So let's start with a feeling that I'm sure is pretty familiar to all of us.
Ever have one of those days? You're scrolling through the news, traffic is a total nightmare, someone says something thoughtless, and you can just feel that knot of frustration tightening in your gut. It's that feeling of being completely powerless against this endless wave of things you just can't influence.
Now, you'd think someone with absolute power, a Roman emperor, would be immune to this. But nope. Turns out the most powerful man in the world, Marcus Aurelius, he struggled with the exact same stuff. He was dealing with war, plague, political backstabbing, personal loss. His problems were our problems, just on a different scale.
And this is his really stark realization. The world, the events, what other people do, it's all completely indifferent to how upset we get. He realized that our suffering doesn't change a single thing about what happens out there. It's a tough pill to swallow, for sure, but it leads to a really powerful question. If our frustration is useless, what can we do instead?
Okay, so first we have to identify the enemy. And Marcus realized that the thing that disturbs our peace, it isn't one single big event. It's the constant, overwhelming noise of life.
I mean, look at this list. Our peace is constantly under attack, right? We worry about our reputation, we get thrown for a loop by things we didn't see coming, we get totally lost in our own anxious thoughts, and we let other people's actions dictate our mood. The problem isn't the events themselves, it's our reaction to them.
And if the problem is our reaction, well, that's exactly where we find the solution. This is the core Stoic idea, the absolute game changer. The power isn't out there in the world, it's right here, inside us, in how we choose to see things.
Marcus Aurelius makes this super important distinction. On one side, you have the event itself. Let's say someone speaks evil of you. That's a fact. It happened. But then on the other side, you have the story we tell ourselves about it. I have been injured. See the difference? That story isn't a fact. It's a judgment. It's an interpretation we've added. And here's the key. That story is optional. And this is where our power really is. You can't erase what happened. The person still said what they said. But you can absolutely choose to wipe out your judgment about it. You can just refuse to add the story of I have been injured. And without that story, the event loses its power to hurt you. So how do we actually do this? We use what Marcus Aurelius called the governing self. Just think of it as your mind's CEO, your inner command center. It's that rational, calm part of you that can take a step back, observe the emotional chaos, and choose not to create that painful story. This is the tool we're going to use to build our resilience. All right, our first practical tool from the Stoic Toolkit is all about focus. Instead of obsessing over what everyone else is doing or thinking, we turn our attention inward, to our own actions and our own character. Marcus is basically telling himself to forget about his reputation and what other people think. Instead, just focus on living as his nature wills. And for him, a human's nature is to be rational, to be social, to be virtuous. He's saying that real happiness, real contentment, comes from lining up our actions with our own core values, not from chasing after what other people think. So what does this proper work look like day to day? Well, Marcus gives himself this handy 4-part guide. It starts with how we treat others. Be good to people. Then it turns inward. Don't be a slave to every little pleasure or pain. Next, it gets analytical. Question your gut reactions. Don't just accept every anxious thought as true. And finally, it zooms way out again. Reflect on the bigger picture, how everything is connected. That last step, reflecting on the bigger picture, is so powerful that it's our second major tool, gaining a cosmic perspective. Whenever we feel totally overwhelmed by our little problems, the Stoic cure is to zoom out. I mean, way, way out. Marcus starts this mental exercise by thinking of powerful people he knew. He lists them off one by one, and he notices this simple repeating pattern. One person buries another, and then they too are buried. It's a pretty stark reminder that every single one of us, no matter how important, we all share the same fate. And his perspective keeps expanding. He goes from individuals to entire dynasties. He pictures the whole court of the legendary Emperor Augustus, his family, his friends, his advisors, a whole world of power and influence. And now it's just gone. A whole court. Dead. And after thinking about the deaths of individuals and even entire courts, he pulls his perspective back as far as it can possibly go. The entire Earth, the stage for all of our drama, our triumphs, our anxieties, is just a tiny point in the vastness of the cosmos. Now, from that perspective, how big is that insult you got today, really?
So, we've learned to control our judgments and to see the bigger picture. The whole point of practicing these tools is to build something truly unshakable inside of ourselves. Marcus calls it the inner citadel.
What we're building here is the inner citadel, a fortress right inside your mind. It's that state of calm, of reason, totally free from irrational emotions, where nothing from the outside world can actually harm you. It's not a real place, of course, but it's a psychological shelter you can retreat to at any moment and be completely safe, completely unconquerable.
I absolutely love this metaphor. He says your mind can be like a crystal clear spring. Someone can stand there and scream curses at it, throw mud and dirt into it, but the spring, it doesn't care. It just keeps bubbling up with fresh, clean water, washing away all the filth. That's the kind of resilience a well-built inner citadel has.
And that's the real power behind this whole idea. Your inner peace isn't some finite resource. It's not a tank of water that can be drained by one bad day. It is that ever-flowing fountain. And the only work you have to do is guard it and let it keep bubbling up from inside you. So that really just leaves us with the final question. These tools, controlling your judgment, doing your proper work, seeing the bigger picture, these are the blueprints. They've been tested for almost 2,000 years. The only question left is for you. How will you use them to build your own ever-flowing fountain?